Hey guys, welcome back. So as you guys can see behind me, I got my new BMW. Well, new to me. It's a 2015 BMW X1 E84 chassis. I think they call it the S-Drive 28i. I don't know if you can see it down there or not. Love this car. Beautiful condition, relatively low mileage. I got a pretty darn good deal for it. Always kind of wanted to own a car, a BMW like this, and couldn't pass up the opportunity whenever I saw it for sale. But one thing I didn't really like is, the original cluster, the speedometer and the tachometer, all that it's just rather generic. It's fine for 2015, it works. But you see these fancy ones now, and I stumbled across this digital one. And I'll link down to it in the video description. And I was just excited to try this out because this will replace the entire cluster with all digital gauges. It'll do all the stuff that the factory one does, but in a much neater. It's just gonna look really cool, I think, when we get done. It looks pretty plug and play. There's a little cutting to do, as I'll mention a little bit later. But I'm pretty excited to get this in the car and install it. So let's go over and take a look at the packaging and what we get with the actual kit. There's not much. Then we'll take a look at the original dash, original cluster in the dash, and then we'll get it installed. So I'll be right back. All right, so let me show you guys what you get inside the box. There's not a whole lot in here. There's no instructions. It's pretty straightforward. Hopefully this video will help anybody out there that might be deciding on this and uncertain whether they could do it themselves. You get a cable that's a USB connection here that allows you to flash the firmware. It uses one of these, you get the 4-pin connectors that BMW uses. And you can, we'll put that off to the side so we can flash the firmware if we need to. Then they give you a little screwdriver. I think it's one of these star screwdrivers, or it's one of the ones that we need to use to pull the screws out of the dash to pull out the original cluster. So I think I probably have one that fits that as well in my kit. And then here is the display. Now this is, you get this plastic piece with sort of two pieces as it came, and I put it together into one, just playing around. So I kind of had an idea how it goes together. Here's the screen. We need to take that protective film off before we install it. And then you've got these brackets, and then on the rear here, you got that green one for the USB, and then the main plug, which is the one that is currently being used by the car in the original cluster. So that's pretty much it. This ought to be pretty straightforward. Now, there are two tabs inside of behind the original cluster that is part of the original dash. It does need to be cut out. They're not very large. They're little tabs on each side. I'll show you when we get inside of the car. I haven't decided how I'm going to cut those out yet. I have to look at them and see how thick they are. But thankfully, they're behind the cluster, so I'm not too worried. If this required me to actually cut the visible part of the dash, I wouldn't be doing it because I don't want to mess up my dashboard. But this is behind it. So hopefully we can get those cut out just enough to get this new one in. And if I need to go back to the original factory speedometer, tachometer cluster for any reason, I can just go ahead and put the original one back in. And so yeah, it's just something to do with their design. They weren't able to incorporate it with those plastic tabs in the dash. So let's get over to the car now, and we'll take a look at the original cluster before we do the install. All right, so here's the original gauge cluster. Works fine. It's nothing fancy. There are, obviously the car is turned off. There are a few LCD type display here. It's all in orange. Shows you what gear you're in, temperature outside. You can scroll through the miles per gallon, and also you can use this button over down here. I think it's up here. This one right over here. So check your oil level and stuff in there, but you can also do that from the iDrive screen. So yeah, that's the stock one. Now let's get to installing the aftermarket digital one. All right, the first thing we have to do is remove a couple screws. These little star type ones are right here and here. We're gonna remove both of those. I don't know how well this is gonna show up. It's kind of hard to get the camera up in there and show you, but that's the first thing we have to do, and they did include the little screwdriver to remove those. So let me go grab that and we'll take those out. What I'm going to do here is obviously I'm going to put the steering wheel down. I'll go ahead and just try to take these out. Alright, it appears for some reason this is not the right size. It looks a little smaller than the ones in mine. So I don't know if there's it just spins in place. I don't know if this is one that most of the BMWs use and this doesn't, but I'll go grab my kit. I should have one in there that will fit, so let's go do that. And this one just barely fits in here using this the screwdriver. Again, I don't know why I got the wrong screw. I wasn't expecting to get it in the kit, so it was nice they included one, but like I said, it's not the right one. So what I'm gonna do is go ahead up here and just try to get this unscrewed. All right, both screws are out. You notice there one screw fell down and went down the side here, and thank God I got it out. I was like, oh no, what? Just my luck. The screw falls back in the dashboard and I lose it. Now we just have to figure out how to get this out. So I might probably have to use one of my pry tools or something to sort of pop this out of place. And there we are. That was simple enough. There we go. So what I ended up doing there is I pushed it back in and then brought this lip up between the steering wheel and here, and then I was able to get it out. So some plastic went flying, but nothing broke. So what it was is when you pull it forward, if you get this lip underneath the steering wheel, good luck trying to get it out. I probably played around with that for probably 10 minutes. So when you pull it out, make sure you get this in between the steering wheel. Make sure your steering wheel down as far as it'll go. Then you can pull it out. So you don't have, I was looking around thinking maybe you could take off this outer piece here, and you probably can, but this is obviously easier getting it out all in one piece. All right guys, so now that I had this out, I think I'm gonna have to take this piece off here. There's screw here, and there's one here and one here. I've got 3 of the 4 out, because there's just no way that this new display is even gonna fit up in here to try to even begin to mount it with this in the way. So I think that these tabs right here and one right here is what's going to have to be cut. So I have to look into that further. That's a pretty hard plastic, so that's making me, how I'm going to have to go about that. I may have to get myself some sort of a saw to cut that, because I don't think I have anything offhand to do it. But we'll tackle that when we get to it. Let's go ahead and take this the rest of the way off. All right, guys, so went ahead and got those 4 screws out here. These 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And just gotta gently pull this up and out. And now I got the new one just sitting there because I'm kind of trying to get an idea. Well, where exactly to go next? It would be nice if they had installation instructions, but I realize they make these for multiple cars, and it's just an instructional video like this is really the most important way of doing it. So I'm gonna go ahead and just take a closer look here, because I think that these tabs are talking about cutting are going to be these. So I feel like that's what's in the way, but I'm going to take a closer look. I'm not going to go about, not about to go cutting on this and find out that I'm cutting the wrong thing. So let me take a closer look and I'll be right back. Okay, so I got this really cruddy Dremel, and these things always break, but I got a whole bunch of them here. I'm going to see if I can cut these right here. So I think what they want is, once these are removed, it'll be kind of hollow and recessed, and it allows the corners of the display to fit down in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and try cutting this, and I'll be back after I get done with one. Hopefully after I get done with one. All right, I got both of them cut out now. Hopefully that's enough, so we'll take this over and see if we can start installing it into the dash. Of course, I'm gonna have to put this on at the end, I believe, so that's what's kind of worrying me, but we'll go from there. All right, so now I've got, the main wire plugged in there. I've got the USB cable now. I'm going to try to run that over here into this little compartment on the side. Just pop this open, so I jumped ahead a little bit. I'm going to try to run it down, just hang it in here, and I'll push that back in, and then we'll try to start putting the dashboard and actually see if we can get it mounted. Alright, that wasn't too difficult. I got it over here, so that should be able to just hang in there, and we can pop this pan off. if we need to get in there and do a firmware update or anything like that. So I'm gonna push these wires in there and then we'll try to see if we can start mounting this. All right, well that was much simpler, at least this in terms of getting it in there. And I've got it installed and fired up the engine, and that looks awesome. Now obviously a bunch has got to be done. We got to switch it here on the US, so I need to switch it to miles per hour. I'll get all of that stuff here in a moment, but I just wanted to fire it up and make sure that it worked, and it does. And this looks really cool. I cannot wait to drive this. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to shut off the engine and then see if I can most importantly get the piece on top of the dashboard here. So I'll switch to the other camera while we do that. Alright guys, I'm making some progress here. It's a slow go. But I've got it in here, and it seems like you've got to put this on last. The piece of the dashboard. If you put it in here, there's just no way that this can fit up underneath this. It just, the corners won't let you in. So you need to put this on last. And there's those 4 screws that go in here. I don't see how these are going to be able to be used. Because you've got to put this on last, and then there's no way to get a screwdriver in there to put them on. Now thankfully these 2 screws on the top will attach to this. This snaps in pretty good. Those 4 screws probably aren't necessary. I think once I get these screws attached on the top here, it's gonna hold just fine. I mean, look at that. So as long as nothing rattles or sounds weird, I'm not gonna be too worried about those 4 screws. I can always put those in if I ever would put the original OEM factory cluster back in. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to attach these screws on the top, and then we're going to see how this works. I'll be right back. All right, it is all installed. Now I got this all installed, and living here in the USA, everything's Imperial miles per hour, and it's not easy to use kilometers. I'm somewhat familiar with it, but anyway, make sure I don't go with the speed limit. That was a real problem. I was trying to figure out how you switch it. It's not a main menu option. So what you need to do when you get this, now there's a bunch of options in here. I'm not going to go through all these today. I'll probably do a separate video on that. But if you're in the USA and you need to switch to miles per hour, what you're going to need to do, now you use this button over here and use short and long presses. You can also toggle through the menus with this. So what you have to do is you need to go to the, I think it was a factory, and then do a long press. You need to enter this code 0169. Now there's also a 0168 you can do as well. That menu will let you just pick your car. This was set to X1, but it was set to the F series. I switched it to the E, so it should be correct now. But what you want to do is on a 0169, I think we'll do and then you do a short press on OK. And now I can toggle down. You're going to go down until you see metric unit, and that's set to Imperial. So that's what I needed to find. I was kind of freaking out. They told me all that was in here, but they don't. You need to know that code. That code is not included with the unit. Also, I went ahead and changed my outdoor temperature to Fahrenheit. You should probably do that as well if you're in the US. Now, a lot of this stuff here was disabled for me. Some of it wasn't. I enabled the tire pressure. I'm going to see how that works. It was disabled. I would think you'd want that, but I don't know if there's an issue with the tire pressure monitoring. I don't know. We're going to see how that works. So, yeah, once you get all that done, you just want to go through these menus. So, I'm going to get down to return and do I think a long press. And now we're back. So again, you can do 0168, and that's a much more basic menu, and that's where you want to confirm your car type. I'm not going to show you that, but you'll be able to figure it out. But all the other menus here, I'll probably do a separate video on that, because you can go through and select different themes and have to long press on that. Right now I'm on the sport. Now I can also go in another menu. I think it's the generic menu. You can change these colors. So I'm going to play around with that. But you know what, guys? This is pretty awesome. So what we'll do is we'll end the video. I might take the car out here. Not might, I'm going to. And we'll drive it around using the other camera, just so you guys can see the gauges move as we run. So finish up the video with that, and I appreciate you guys staying tuned and sticking through this. And this is a really cool upgrade. I'm really glad that I did. All right, let's test this out. I ended up using my phone here because the overhead camera just did not give me any view of the display. Everything looks really good. The only minor concern I have right now is I do have a check engine light here. There was no check engine light on the original display, so I'm not exactly sure what that is. Thankfully, it's not a huge distracting check engine light, and it may just be some erroneous, who knows. I did take a picture. I'm going to send the picture to Car Life Mall and see if they have an idea. But I've got a Carly scanner. I think it'll be here tomorrow, and I'm going to read all the codes on the car. There could be some minor thing that the OEM dash didn't display, and I can clear the codes with the app too. Maybe it's something I can clear and won't come back. Who knows? I'm not super concerned. The car seemed to drive totally fine. Like I said, there was not any code on the factory one I just took out, so I wouldn't think of anything severe. Could just be this one's a little more sensitive to codes that are not really super important. I don't know. Otherwise, man, this looks great. I mean, I've got it set to, I think it's like a Comfort Plus or something. It's the orange. You can go through and you can change that background hue and color for each one of these different themes that you select. You can select the theme, and then you can go into another menu and you can select like the colors. You can also select the color of the car there in the middle that you see. I got it's silver, I think now. They don't have an orange, unfortunately, but that would be ideal. There is an upgrade they mentioned on the website. Again, because it's Chinese, it's a little difficult to get the to understand it, if I'm getting to interpret it. So there's like some firmware where you can upload that I think will allow you to change like the cars. So I might be able to change it to the X1 and the truck color. I don't know. So I'll probably ask him about that as well, but that's not a big deal to me, the car in the middle there. I'll fiddle around with some more stuff, but obviously the biggest deal now is figuring out why that check engine light is on. I don't remember seeing it when I first fiddled with the car, but it could have just been I was too distracted, or it could have been when I just have the auxiliary power on and I'm not actually have the engine started. Then it's going. It doesn't show it until the engine started. So I'll have to fiddle around and I'll hopefully figure that out. But again, I don't think that's a huge deal. Could just be something with the car. So, all right, guys, that wraps up this video. I'm real happy with this. It looks fantastic. So, if you're new to the channel and you like real car stuff like this, or RC cars, drones, cover it all, then please consider subscribing to my channel. And while you're at it, click that bell to be notified when I upload a new video. As always, guys, have a great day.